I just want to start by saying that, as far as manipulation goes with precious metals, I do believe that there is some of that goes on. I believe it's on a what we call a shorter, perhaps, time frame. It's over the longer term. I think that these things play out. The influence is quite limited, and I think that I do. An important point, I think, is that I don't want people to feel like they should stay away from something like silver or gold because they say, oh, it's a manipulated market. As I say, the effects, I believe, are somewhat limited, and the longer term value ultimately plays out, exerts itself. And so it's absolutely a sector that people want to have exposure to no matter what. There are always these kinds of things where there's a buck to be made. People will jump in and try to take advantage of situations. We see that actually playing out. There are court cases and all sorts of things to try to clamp down on these kinds of things again. But as I say, long term, do not let that shy you away from participating in this market. There are ways to do it by lowering your risk. That's something I also talk about in the book. Different things you can do to mitigate your risk in a silver investment portfolio, and these work well. Silver is volatile. Take advantage of that volatility, make it work for you. But this can and will be a very profitable bull market, and that's exactly why I call the book The Great Silver Bull. I really think this is going to be anyone who is able to participate in this market will very likely experience this as the best silver bull market they will ever experience. I honestly think that if there is one reason, maybe there is. My guess would be that there may be pressure. If a lot of delivery were taken, it would squeeze those markets. A lot of that may or may not be there available for delivery. If there was if there were, say, multiple large requests for delivery, I could easily see the exchange saying, we have to settle in cash. They have that way out all the time, and so I think that there is probably some pressure to mitigate that, those kinds of requests. However, I think it was in 2020, and even through a good part of 2021, there have been outsized delivery requests from the COMEX for silver, for physical silver, when contracts come to expiry. So that says a lot about that, how people are using that as much as they can to acquire the physical asset, and the pressure that it's likely putting on it. And so people really are becoming uncomfortable. They really want to have the real thing in their hands, and I think actually silver bullion, where you are, actually can serve that purpose quite well. Well, given who Warren Buffett is, if he was approached, I would guess that it would not necessarily have been in quite the same way. However, I couldn't rule that out. I mean, if you look at what took place during certain years in terms of Berkshire acquiring, I think it was like 130 million ounces of silver, and then just a few years later, I believe he started acquiring in near the low of 1998, and then within about maybe 6 to 7 years, the first silver ETF came to be the SLV, and so these 130 million ounces were acquired. They were sitting in London, and there was pressure from the silver users in the U.S., especially industrial users, not to allow the ETF to go forward because they were concerned that there wouldn't be that would soak up a lot of supply. And yet that ETF came to fruition. It was enacted, and it was around that time or just before that apparently Berkshire sold off their 100 or so million ounces of silver and did quite well with it. So I do talk about that in the book. There are no conclusions. Yet, if you look at the timing and how things lined up, it certainly looks like that kind of supply of silver. And then, the launch of a silver ETF that had tens of millions of ounces within months jumped from maybe, I believe it was 20 million to 60 million and on from there. And then eventually quite quickly reached 100 million. To get that kind of silver, you'd have to ask yourself where you could put your finger on it. And that may very well have been the source.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
I have bad news for you. If you're not rich by now, you're screwed. And if you're in debt, you're even double screwed. How so, you might wonder? Well, the sad truth is that you're working your whole life to make someone else rich. The mega corporations, the banks, the politicians, everyone is getting richer. They get your money. And what is even worse, they get your time, they get your life. You are not even in a rat race, you're in a financial prison. But what could a solution for you look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I know what a solution for me would look like. It's very simple. I use whatever money I have and I multiply it with 1,000. This could make my life much easier and probably yours as well. If you have $1,000 available and multiply this with 1,000, I believe that this could solve some financial issue for the one or the other. Of course, if you're ugly, you would have to multiply it with much more than 1,000. My name is Markus Dahn, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to 1000x my money. This is not a joke. I know what you may be thinking. What is this guy talking about? How should this work? This is not possible. Well, I made a detailed video where I laid out my plan. And some clever folks might even want to look at this plan and copy it and do exactly what I do. This is just a little hint on the side. You have two options. You leave, you forget what you have seen. You do whatever you're doing and you hope that somehow you get some other results. Good luck with that. Or you click the link below the video. You enter your email address because I'm not showing this to everybody. You at least watch my video on how I plan to 1000x my money. The choice is yours. Make the right choice. Join me. See what a different future you could have. See at least how I intend, how I plan to do the 1000x. So click on the link below, enter your email address, and I see you on the other side. Your Markus Dahn.